It may surprise you just how many successful businesses there are out there making their money during one specific time of year. For example, wedding vendors like photographers and caterers are likely to be busiest from May through October. And there are some bakeries in New Orleans that make half of their income for the entire year selling king cakes in the few weeks leading up to Mardi Gras. But even for those of us who do work year-round, it can be helpful and revealing to check in on how your business breaks down seasonally, and that's exactly what we're going to discuss in today's video. By the way, if you're new here, I've been creating content since 2012, and I've been doing it full-time since 2021. On this channel, I share influencer tips, social media strategies, and the behind-the-scenes of what it's really like to be a full-time content creator, so if any of that interests you, please consider subscribing. Now, the word that I chose to be my word of the year, all the way back in January, was align, and it's actually kind of funny how well that checks out in terms of the seasons of the year and the seasons of my business. The two really go hand in hand, so I'm going to break down exactly what I mean. Typically, what I end up focusing on each season is a direct reflection of what's going on out in the world around me. Starting out at the beginning of the year in winter, essentially, from January through March, it's cold outside, but it's the start of a new year. Things are feeling fresh, things are feeling exciting, and it's generally a great time to do goal setting, back-end brainstorming, and figure out exactly what you want to get done in a given year. It may not be the best time to pitch brands right away, as they're probably still figuring out their budgets for the year, but there's no harm in sending a friendly networking email, which is also something I like to prioritize at the beginning of the year. Also, because the start of the year often prompts the new year, new me spirit for people, that is often the time that I release my digital course, the Influencer Income Accelerator, for people who really want to level up their influencer income. I feel like it just aligns nicely with setting your business goals and taking action to help you achieve your goals faster. Then when we look ahead to spring, which here, at least for me in New York City area, means that it's finally getting warmer outside, I'm feeling a bit more energetic, I'm looking to do more things, I try to lean into that energy and take advantage of that with my business as well. So in January through March, I was probably repurposing a lot of content that I had shot in previous years because it's probably too cold to go out and take new photos. But once it starts getting warmer out, I really like to increase my content production. So you'll start to see me outside more. If you catch me walking around Hoboken with my tripod, no you didn't. And I'm just feeling generally more energized and social as it starts to warm up and as we start to get more daylight back into our lives. This is also a great time to really start to network with more fellow creators and brand reps. And this is also the time of year where I am most likely and able to say yes to brand events. To me, spring is the season where I feel like the most typical type of influencer because I am constantly creating, I'm attending events, I'm out and about, and I'm really just trying to make the most of all of the things that come along with that warmer weather. Then when we look at the next 3 months, which is going to be July through September, for me, this is usually a pretty slow time in terms of client work or my active income streams for my influencer business. And when things are slow on the active income front, it gives me a chance to turn my attention to other areas of my business now that I have some time to really spend on those places. So for me, this also looks like a lot of business backend, doing reorganizing. That could be clearing out my desktop, clearing out my storage backups with all of my hard drives and memory cards and all of the many, many dollars that I spend each month to store all of this stuff. It's probably a good chance to check in on my yearly goals once I'm halfway through the year to see what's going on, if I need to course correct to get back on track to achieve any goals, or if any goals don't really seem to be that important to me anymore that I can move or archive for another time. This is also a great chance to look at some of my designs and think about my blog and website designs, if I still like those, if there's anything that I need to update or reorganize to make those more search-friendly or update based on new milestones or new brands that I've partnered with. And this is also typically the time of year where I redo or update some of my digital products, especially like my ebook Right on Pitch. That's a very information-heavy product, and I like to check in each year to make sure that the information in it is as up-to-date as possible. And I might even launch a new digital product. Actually, recently I launched a whole new Etsy shop for digital products that are pretty different from what I've done previously, but I'm planning a whole other video about that, so be sure to stay tuned for that one. Q3 is a nice time to really focus on my business and what I want to get done without having to be constantly bombarded with client projects and worrying about making sure other people are good, and I get to make sure I'm good. So I think that's really important. And then from October through December, things usually really kick into high gear for me. Obviously, we are talking about so many holidays that happen in these 3 short months, from things like Halloween and Thanksgiving all the way into Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's. The list goes on and on. During Q4, I am really focused on picking back up on connections with brands that I've worked with in the past. I'm looking out for any last-minute holiday campaigns. Potentially, a lot of them have been booked already, probably in August or towards the end of September. I'm also creating a lot of product-focused content, and there's 2 reasons that I do that. The first is obviously to create content that will attract brands to my profile, give them examples of the type of content I could create that could potentially feature their products. And also, it is usually my highest earning quarter for affiliates, so I'm typically creating gift guides, very product-focused content on my blog, over on my LTK, and sometimes also on my other social media channels. And of course, 'tis the season, usually, for the most brand partnerships in a year, because brands have holiday budgets that they have been saving all year and that they're ready to spend, and spend they will. Now, since we're heading into Q4 at the time I'm filming this video, if you have not yet reached out to brands that you want to pitch for the holidays, before you do, go grab my free guide, Before You Pitch. This will help you feel confident when you do ultimately hit send on those pitch emails and just give you a little extra reassurance with some extra tips. So you can grab that guide from the link down below in the description box. And also, if you're looking for more holiday-specific pitching tips, I do have a whole video on my channel dedicated to that, so I will link that down below as well in case you'd like to watch it next. Breaking down my business quarterly is one of the best things that I've done for myself being self-employed, because it really allows me to have those big picture goals, but a shorter timeline to execute what exactly I want to get done on them for, so that by the time I get to the end of the year, I've been able to space out my goals within different quarters and get more things across the finish line. So for this reason, I do think it's really helpful to space out your goals quarterly, and I also think it's really helpful from a finance perspective to look at the different quarters of your business to understand when you generally are the busiest and when you're making the most money. So in a minute, I'm going to pull up some stats on the screen from my own influencer business to show you which quarters were most profitable for me over the last 3 years. But before we take a look at that, I just want to define a financial accounting term, actually 2 terms, so that you can just understand how I track income in my business. And just as a reminder, I'm not an accountant. This is not financial advice. You can Google this and confirm, though. Basically, there are 2 different types of ways to do accounting or bookkeeping in your business. You can track your income on a cash basis, or you can use accrual accounting. So I use cash basis accounting for my business, which means that I don't track my income until it literally arrives in my bank account. So even though I just worked on a brand partnership with YouTube that you guys probably saw a few videos back, I didn't get paid for that right away. So I am not counting that partnership as part of my August income. I'm going to get paid a little later on. So whenever I actually receive the money for that project, that is the month that I'm going to record the payment for. So again, even if I signed a brand partnership today, if that contract was net 30 payment, meaning I wouldn't get paid until next month, I'm not going to say that I have that money until I literally have it in my possession, until that direct deposit hits, until I get the check in the mail, until a carrier pigeon drops a big bag of cash on my balcony. Whatever comes first, that is how cash basis accounting works. Now, on the other hand, accrual accounting is where you record those transactions when they happen, but before money is actually received. So if I were to record on an accrual basis, if I signed a brand deal today, then I would put that in my calendar for today as the day that I made that deal. But I just personally think it's much less confusing and easier to just track your income when it actually gets to you. Please consult your accountants for what you guys should do. I just wanted to explain that before we look at these graphs, because you might be confused about the graphs if I didn't explain that first. Okay, with that being said, let's put the graph on the screen showing the last 3 years in my influencer business broken down by quarter. So like I was just talking about, the biggest thing overall to note here is that Q4 is typically my busiest time of year in my influencer business, but often those brand deals that I do in November or December aren't really getting paid out until January, or gosh, I hope not February. Make sure you negotiate for at least net 30 in your contracts, people, okay? We deserve to get paid sooner. So as you can see, for example, in 2022, Q4 was my lowest earning quarter, but that's because some of the money that I made in that quarter didn't get paid out to me until the following quarter. And looking at this graph, as you can see, Q4 is typically my highest earning quarter if we just look at this small sample size, albeit of the last 3 years. So when you see Q1 being the top earning quarter, just know that I wasn't actually actively doing a ton of brand partnerships during that quarter. I was basically just collecting checks for work that I did already. And just to give you the current standings for how my business is looking in 2024, again, this will change as we finish out Q3 and move into Q4, but right now, Q1 has been my top earning quarter, Q3 has been my second highest earning quarter, and Q2 right now is in third place. So that's just so far how 2024 is shaping up for me. So I have a few key takeaways from looking at this information, at least from my own influencer business. Number one, just keep in mind that things can change. Q4 is typically the quarter that I expect to earn the most income because of holiday brand partnerships, but some years that doesn't happen. In fact, one year Q4 was very surprisingly slow for me, and instead I chose to pivot and spend that time building out my digital course, which I then released in January. But I also did a pre-sale of that course in December to boost my Q4 earnings. I would also highly encourage you to do this within your own influencer business and look out for trends. Now, just because Q4 is typically a busy time of year for content creators with brand partnerships, maybe you are a fitness content creator or a productivity content creator, and Q1 is actually going to be your busiest time of year. So I would say if there is a standout quarter where you consistently out-earn all of the other quarters and you can really specifically identify what the reason for that is, maybe each second quarter of the year you speak at a conference, or maybe that's when you release your digital course. Is there a way that you can double down on what's already working? Can you book a similar conference for Q3? Or can you increase your conversion rate on the people who are signing up for your digital course? You guys know I'm a big fan of the work smarter, not harder mentality, and this is going to be one of the easiest ways to figure out where opportunities are to do just that. And another takeaway from this is just to really plan out how you pay yourself. Looking back on this, I realized that in Q4 of 2021, that brought in 59% of my income for the entire year. So similarly to that bakery in New Orleans, I made most of my money for the entirety of that year in the last 3 months of the year, which meant that I needed to make sure that now that I had that cash flow, that I was spacing it out and basically spreading it around in my business so that if my income in January was a big dip from the previous month, it wasn't that big of a deal to me because I was able to pay myself a reasonable amount from what I brought in the previous quarter and make sure that that money spreads out and levels out so that my life doesn't feel so roller coastery and it feels a bit more consistent. I know that having consistent income as a content creator is one of the hardest things to initially figure out. Don't forget, you guys, I have a whole playlist on this channel called Making Money for Influencers. So if you need any help with setting up more consistent income streams, passive income streams, there are tons of video resources on this channel that you can check out. So I would love to hear from you all about what the busiest and slowest times in your business typically are, and if you know why that is. Leave a comment down below and let me know. Like I said earlier, don't forget to grab your free guide before you pitch from the link down below in the description box before you start writing those holiday pitch emails to brands. This will help you feel more confident and give you some tips and strategies that you may not have thought of before. Again, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed yet. I put out new videos every week, and that really helps get my content in front of more people, more than you know. So thank you so much if you are already subscribed, and you can go ahead and support me in that way. And if you want to hear more of my thoughts on the best and also the worst times to reach out to brands, be sure to check out the up next recommendation on the screen for all my thoughts on that. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.